Alright, so good day everyone. You're all welcome back to this channel, Learn Maths. Today we are going to be looking at the graphical method of solving a quadratic equation, right? We'll be looking at this question. Alright, so the question we have here for today is this: solve graphically y equal to 2x squared minus 5x minus 7 for values of x ranging from -2 to +4, right? -2 to +4, those are the values for x. -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, then 4, right? Now, using a scale of 2 cm to 1 unit on the x-axis and 2 cm to 5 units on the y-axis. Okay, I'm going to explain every term, every new term here, right? I'm going to explain everything as we go on. So they are like just basically two steps to take whenever you're solving a quadratic equation using graphical method, right? Just two steps. The first step, is constructing a table of values, right, for x and y. That is a table that contains the values of x and y, right? And then the second major step now is plotting the graph, right? We just have two steps. One, constructing a table of values for x and y, right? Then two, constructing a graph. So now we're going to start with the first step, which is constructing a table of value for x and y, right? Let's do that. So a table of value is going to look something like this. It has this column for x, that's the values of x, and this second column for the values of y, right? Now from the question, these are the values for x. Look at the values of x from -2 to +4. So I'm going to fill this space for x with -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? As you can see now, the values for x are ranging from -2 to +4, right? So now that we have the values of x from the question, all we have to do next is get the corresponding values of y, right? And this is how we're going to get the corresponding values of y. All right, so to get this is the quadratic equation we're actually solving using graphical method, right? This is the actual quadratic equation. That is y equal to 2x squared minus 5 minus 7, right? Y equal to 2x squared minus 5 minus 7, right? So to get the first value of y, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to replace this x in this quadratic equation, this position of x and this x. I'm going to replace it with this first value of x, which is -2, right? So to get the first value for y, I'm going to say y equal to 2x squared minus 5x minus 7. All right, now look at these empty spaces for x squared, x squared, x, right? I'm going to replace these empty spaces with -2, this -2, because that's the first value for x, right? When it is time to get the second value for y, I replace these spaces with -1, right? To get the third value, I replace these spaces with 0, right? 1, 2, 3, and so on. So let's start with the first value for y, which we will get by replacing x with -2. So this will be -2, right? Now I've replaced the position of x with -2. So what's the value of y going to be? This is 2. We have 2 here, right? Now -2 squared, which is -2 times -2. You can verify with your calculator. That will give us +4, right? -2 squared, that's +4. Now -5 times -2. You know this bracket here signifies multiplication, right? So I'm going to have -5 times -2, which turn out to be +10, right? 5 times 2, 10. Negative number multiplying another negative number, the resulting number will be positive, right? Then we have -7 here, -7. All right, so we are still trying to get the first value of y. 4 times 2, that's 8, right? Then 10 minus 7, that is 3, right? 3. Okay, so we have 8 from here, and 10 minus 7 being 3. So finally, y is going to be equal to 8 plus 3, right? That's 11. Okay, 8 plus 3, that's 11. So the first value for y happens to be 11, right? 11. Okay, so now to get the second value for y, I think we'll have to replace these spaces for x with -1, right? Remember, to get the first value, we replace -2. Now to get the second value, we're going to replace these spaces with -1, right? So we're going to have -1 here, -1 here, right? So let's see what the second value for y is going to be. This is 2, right? This 2 here. Now we have -1 square. That's -1 times -1, which results to +1, all right? Now we have -5 times -1. You know, this bracket signifies multiplication, right? So -5 times -1, that would be a +5, right? Minus this 7 here, -7, okay? All right, so 2 times 1, I think that's 2. Then 5 minus 7, 5 minus 7, that should be -2, right? 5 minus 7, -2, okay? So now the value for y is going to be 2 minus 2, which is 0, right? So the final value will be 0. Now, because of time and length of this video, I'm going to skip this, and this. Maybe go to the last one. Okay, let me try this and this. That's when x is 0 and 4, right? Then I'll skip the rest to make this video short. Now to get the third value for y, that's when x is 0, right? This is what we are going to do. To get the third value for y, I'm going to replace these spaces for x with 0, right? This is 0. To get the third value for y, I'm going to replace these spaces now with 0, 0, right? So this is going to be y equal to 2. Now 0 square, that's 0 times 0, right? Which is still 0. Minus 5 times 0, 5 times 0, that's 0, right? Then we have -7 here. Okay, now let's see. We have 2 times 0, which is 0, right? Minus this 0, -7. So the final answer is going to be -7, right? -7. So our third value for y is going to be -7. Now you're going to try out, you're going to try and get the value for 1, 2, and 3, right? That is, replace these spaces for x with 1, you get the value for y, right? Replace it with 2, you get the value for y here. You replace with 3, you get the value for y, right? I'm going to skip that part and just go straight to the last one so we can proceed. All right, so this is -10, -9, -4, right? And let's go straight to the last value for y. Let's try get the last value for y. Okay, so all we have to do is replace these values, these spaces for x, right, with 4, because that's where x now is 4. I want to get the value for y there. Look at the 4. Replace this with 4, right? So y is going to be equal to 4 square. 4 is part 2. That's 16, right? Minus 5 times 4. 5 times 4. That's 20. Minus 7, right? So this will be y equal to 2 times 16, right? 2 times 16. That's 32. Then this is -20 minus 7. What is that going to be? -20 minus 7, that's -27, right? -20, -7, that's -27. Now if you put 32 and minus 27 together, we're going to have 32 minus 27, which is, that's 5, right? That's 32 minus 27, should be about 5, right? All right, so this will be 5. Now our table of values is complete, right? We have all the values for x and all the values for y. Now let's go straight to plotting the graph, which is the second major step, right? This is like the first step. Let's go to the second step, plotting the graph. All right, so to plot the graph, this is the scale we are going to use. From the question, we have this scale, 2 cm to 1 unit on the x-axis. right? This will be 2 cm to 1 unit on the x-axis, right? 2 cm to 1 unit on the x-axis. I'm going to explain what that means. Now on the y-axis we have 2 cm to 5 units on the y-axis, right? The scale on the x-axis 2 cm to 1 unit, that's the x-axis scale. Then the scale on the y-axis 2 cm to 5 units. Okay, so let's interpret that on the graph. All right, so this is what the graph looks like. All right, it has these lines, these vertical and horizontal lines. Now we're going to draw a vertical line that represents our y-axis, right, and a horizontal line to represent the x-axis. All right, so this here, this line here now, that's the vertical line representing the y-axis, right, and this here, the horizontal line that is going to represent the x-axis. Now look at these lines on the graph. We have some divisions, right? Now the distance from this to this, that's like 5 of this small box, this small unit box here. 1 2 3 4 5, right? 5 of this small box make 1 cm, right? So the distance from here to here, that's 1 cm. The distance from here to here, that's another 1 cm. So like these bigger boxes now we are seeing are like 2 cm, right? The distance from here to here 2 cm. Distance from here to here 1 cm, right? That's how you know the length of any line here on the graph. Now this is like 2 cm, this 4 cm, this, you understand? Now they say the scale. Okay, here's the scale. All right, the scale on the x-axis is 2 cm to 1 unit. Let me explain what that means. The scale on the x-axis 2 cm to 1 unit. This is what it means, right? Now if this is our origin 0 and this is the x-axis, right, we have that 2 cm is to 1 unit on the x-axis. So if I'm to move by 1 2, if I'm to move by 2 cm, this will be 1 unit, right? If I'm to move by another 2 cm, this will be 2 units, right? If I move by another 2 cm, right, that's 3 units, right? This will be 4, will be 5, 6, and so on in the positive part of the x-axis. Now let's look at the negative part of the x-axis. If I move towards the negative direction by 2 cm, this will be -1, right? Move by another 2 cm, this will be -2. You understand? Because the scale on the x-axis is 2 cm to 1 unit. That is 2 cm make up 1 unit. If they had say something like 1 cm to 1 unit, then this 1 cm here will represent 1, right? Another 1 cm will represent 2. Okay, so let's look at the scale on the y-axis. The scale on the y-axis says 2 cm to 5 units, right? 2 cm to 5 units. So let's interpret that on the graph. This is going to be 1 2, right? That's 2 cm. All right, this is going to be 5 because now the scale says 2 cm makes up 5, not 1 this time around. So this and this 5, this and this another 5, that is 10, right? This and this, that's 15. We move by 2 cm, that's 5. Move by another 2 cm, that's 10. Move by another 2 cm, that's 15. That's 15. Now let's do that, but in the negative part of the y-axis. All right, so 2 cm down the negative part of the y-axis will become -5, right? Another 2 cm will become -10, right? Another 2 cm, that's -15. Since 2 cm represents 5 units on the y-axis. All right, so now that we have successfully drawn the x and y-axis, let's start plotting points on the graph. Right, now the first point is going to be gotten by this intersection, the intersection of the line connecting this -2 value of x and 11, right? That's when x is -2, y is 11. Now this is the x-axis, right? I hope it's clear. This is the x-axis. So this is where x is 4 3 2 1, this is where x is 0, this is where x is -1, and this is where x is -2, right? So now they said when x is -2, y is 11, right? So this is -2 for x. Let's see where y is 11. This is where y is 5, this is where y is 10. Now 2 of these small boxes is going to be 11, right? 2 of these small boxes, like after 10 you just count those 2 unit boxes, that will be 11. Okay, let's see if that's true. If 2 of these unit boxes actually 1, now 2 of these, that's 1, right? 2 of these again, that's 2. 2 of it, 3, 4, then 5, right? Can you see that? Can you see that each of these unit boxes here represents 1 on the y-axis? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So this will be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then this will be 11. Okay, I hope you understand what we just did. That's how you locate 11 on the y-axis. Depending on what kind of scale you use, you just have to know your way around these small boxes. Okay, so this is where x is 2, right? And this is where y is 11. So where did these two values intersect? This is where they intersect, right? So you plot that point. Right, where x is, let's zoom in a bit. All right, this is where x, this is the x-axis, right? The value for x here at this point is -2, and the value for y here is 11. So that's where they intersect. That's how you get the first point of intersection. Let's look at the second point of intersection. Here x is -1, right? And y is 0. So let's see where x is -1, right? This is where x is -1. Then let's see where y is 0. This is 0, right? So where this -1 intersects with this 0 for y, this is the value for y now, 0, is going to be this point, right? It intersects right there on the x-axis, that line of the x-axis. That's the next point of intersection. Now to get the third point of intersection, that's where x is 0 and y is -7, right? Where x is 0 and y is -7. Now this is where x is -2, -1, this is where x is 0, right? So how are we going to locate -7 for y? Because at this point where x is 0, y is -7, okay? This is -5, this will be -6, then -7. So this is the point we are looking for, right? This is the point we are looking for. 5 -6 -7. This is the point we are looking for. Okay, we have gotten like 3 points now. 1, 2, 3. Let's get the fourth point. Where x is 1, y is -10, right? When x is 1, y is -10. Alright, so this is where x is 1 on the x-axis. This is 1 on the x-axis. So let's trace this down to -10. This is -10, right? So this is where 1 and -10 intersect. This point here, that's our next point. Alright, so we have got 1, 2, 3, 4 points. Let's keep getting those points. Let's keep getting those points. Alright, so what will be the next point? 2 and -9, right? 2 and -9. So when x is 2, y is -9. Alright, this is -5, as we all know. This is -5. So this will be -6, -7, -8, and -9. Right? I hope that's not difficult to locate. Right? When x is 2, y is -9. This is -9 here, close to -10. You understand? Just by those 2 unit boxes. That's what differentiating them. Just 2 unit boxes. This is -10, this is -9, -8, -7, like we had before, -6, then -5. Just work with those 2 unit boxes. Alright, so let's see the next point we are getting. 3 and -4. When x is 3, y is -4, right? So this is where x is 3. This is where the value of x is 3. So let's go down by -4. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, right? This is -4, which is actually close to -5. Can you see that? This is -5. So -4 is just a bit close to -5, right? So when x is 3, y will be minus 4, right? This is the y-axis. Get this value from the y-axis. Get this value for x from the x-axis. This is the 3. Then you get that minus 4 from the y. Where they intersect, that's the point, right? So finally, we have 4 and 5, right? When x is 4, y is 5. Now this is where x is 4, right? This is where x is 4. Now where is y? 5, positive 5. That's up here, right? That's positive 5 up here. So this is where 4 and 5 intersect. This point here. So that's our last point of intersection. This point. Alright, so finally, I think we have gotten all our points. We've gotten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So what we have to do now is connect these points. Connect these points either with a French curve or a flexible curve, or even your hand, your free hand, right? I think you can learn that from, like, with practice you can learn how to connect these curves with your free hand, right? Or you can just get a French curve. Most people use brooms actually. Like, you can just decide to bend your broom to meet all these points, then use your pencil to connect them, right? But I'm going to use a French curve. I'm going to this is what the French curve looks like. You have curves around it. We have like three kind of this French curve, right? I'm going to try using this one because I think this, like, I call this the quadratic French curve because it suits many quadratic curves, right? So let me try if it's going to suit this one. I'm going to try to connect all these points with the French curve. Now, whenever you're using the French curve or whatever curve you're using, make sure you don't just place and join the curve, right? Don't just place your French curve, connect like and draw, right? You have to make sure you're connecting at least 3 points. All right, make sure you're connecting at least 3 points before you draw any line. All right, I'm connecting this to this and then to this. So since this is connecting 3, I think I'm free to draw. All right, I'm free to join. All right, I've connected these 3 curves. Now let me see if I can connect other three points, right? Let's see. All right, let me try connecting this to this and this before I join. All right, I think this is connecting these 3. 1, 2, 3. So I'm now free to join them. Perfect. Now I'm left with these 3 here. 1, 2, 3 to join to have my complete quadratic curve. All right, so let's see if this quadratic French curve, like I call it, will be able to join these 3 points. If you can't join these 3 points, I'll have to try another French curve. Okay, but let's hope it does the job. Okay, I'm not seeing any possible means of connection there. You can see that point inside there. This one, I have to join 1, 2, 3. Now this is joining this and this, but this guy is not connected. So let's try this other French curve. Oh no, the quadratic curve failed. Okay, let's hope this one does the job. I think he's doing the job here. Join this to this, then to this. Okay, let's see what we have there. Alright, excellent. Now I've gotten the quadratic curve. This is my quadratic curve. This curve here. Now, when you finish drawing your quadratic curve, be sure to label the curve. That is, try to write the quadratic equation that has the curve close to the curve, right? Now the curve we sketch now, it belongs to this equation. This one here. That's y equal to 2x squared. 2x squared minus 5x minus 7, right? Now this curve you're seeing here belongs to this quadratic equation. Now from the question we see that we are asked to solve this quadratic equation graphically, right? We are asked to solve this quadratic equation graphically. Now that we have plotted the graph, let's see how we can solve the quadratic equation. You know, whenever you solve a quadratic equation, you usually get two answers for your x, right? We get two values for x, right? Whenever you're solving a quadratic equation. Now let's see how we're going to locate those two values. Before we go back to the graph, let's look at this quadratic equation we have here. That's the owner of the curve, right? Now look at this quadratic equation. We have y equal to 2x squared minus 5x minus 7, right? Let's compare this quadratic equation to the general form of a quadratic equation, which we all know as ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0, right? Equal to 0. Let me keep it equal to 0 here, so something will be proven, right? Ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0, right? I hope this is the general form of the quadratic equation. Now if you look at this general form of the quadratic equation and this quadratic equation here, you notice that a is 2, b is minus 5, c is 7, right? What's all this? A is 2, b is minus 5, and c is negative 7, right? Now look at y. Look at the value for y. Y happens to be 0, right? So the value for y happens to be 0. Now we're to get the value now to solve this quadratic equation using this graph. This is what we are going to do. We are going to locate that point where y is 0. Get out of this place. Let's locate that point where y is 0. This is where y happens to be 0, right? This is 5, this is 10, this is 15, this is minus 5, minus 10, minus 15 for y. But this is the value for y being 0, right? You know, when we compare these two equations, we saw that y is actually 0. So this is where y is 0. Now this point where y is 0, we are going to trace it to the x axis. We're going to trace it to the curve. Alright, so since we are looking for the point where y is 0, sorry, this is the point, right? This is where y is 0. We are going to trace that point now to this curve. You trace it to this side of the curve, and you also trace it to this side of the curve, right? Those are 2 points. From that 0, trace it to the left, trace to the right, right? Now if you trace it to the left, this is the value for x we met on this curve. We met minus 1, right? I hope that's what we met. We met minus 1. That's the first value for x. X is minus 1. X is minus 1. Then if you trace it to the right, we are going to meet 3.5, right? That's 3.5. This is 3. This 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, 3.4, 3.5, right? 3.6, 3.7, 3.8, 3.9, then you have 4. So in between 3 and 4, that's 3.5, right? So the second value for x is 3.5, right? So let's add that to our solution to this. X equal to 3.5, right? So if we solve this quadratic equation using graphical method, these are the answers we get for x. X equal to -1 and x equal to 3.5, right? Alright, so you guys can actually try solving this using any other method, maybe completing the square method or formula method, right? You can try. In fact, that's the assignment, right? That's the assignment. This is the assignment. Let me make it clear. Y equal to 2x squared minus 5x minus 7, right? Solve this using completing the square. It's not even showing, right? Solve this using completing the square method or formula method, any method of your choice, right? Solve it using any method and try to get these answers we have gotten as -1 and 3.5, right? Try to get these two values, -1 and 3.5. Okay, you see this position for y here, you're going to replace it with 0. You're going to replace it with 0. That's 2x squared minus 5x minus 7 equal to 0. This is what we are solving now using any other method. Okay, the assignment is going to be displayed on your screen, so there's no need to struggle with this. You can't see the handwriting, right? So that will be all for today, guys, and that's the end for quadratic equation, right? The next topic is no longer quadratic equation. You can comment down in the comment section what you want the next topic to be, right? What the next topic we're going to treat on this channel will be. Do it to subscribe. Those of you that have not subscribed, do it to subscribe, and always submit your assignments in the comment section. All right, bye guys, see you in the next video.